Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the Keyboard Chronicles, a podcast for keyboard players of the gigging variety. I'm your host, David Holloway, and it's great as always to be here. And you again, Paul, as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. Thank you, David.
So what we're about to hear and see is part two of our interview with Rubén Valtierra, keyboard player with Weird Al Yankovic, and much, much more. If you've listened to part one, will have heard Rubén has some wonderful, wonderful insights on a whole range of stuff, and we didn't want to waste any of the insights, so we've split this across two parts. So this is part two, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we did recording it.
Well, on that subject of your successful career and extreme professionalism, which is coming back as a real theme of this discussion, we're really interested in what are lessons, thoughts, things that you would pass on to other keyboard players. What are some things that you've learned that would be, your top tips for other keyboard players wanting to have a good career as well?
Well, granted that they're going to have the talent and they're going to have the expertise or whatever to be considered for the gig. But the thing is that the professional part about it is you have to be prepared, and you have to be, you have to be the most prepared, always come in more prepared than anybody else. Those actors that supposedly they not only know their lines, they know everybody else's lines like perfectly. You got to be there. And then you've got to in a situation like mine, because it is a show, you got to look like you're having a great time, and you have to smile, and you just have to be honestly show your honest gratitude, feelings of gratitude that you're actually there getting to do stuff. People used to say, you look like you're having such a great time, just on my gigs, even in my gigs. Oh, and I was here going, and they go, man, every solo that you do is such how do you? And I go, because I consider every solo my last. I really do. I consider every gig my last. And people go, okay, whatever, And guess what? It's been 2 years of this stupid crap, right?
Yep.
And thank God that I've got money put away, that I had a good career, made good investments. But I think about all my other friends. Who were, they're just the journeymen, or just doing, just local gigs, and that's all they did, and that's all they had. They didn't have big touring gigs. It's like, how are they able to take care of themselves? Besides that, but the thing is that they haven't been able to play. It's like, yeah, consider it like your last gig, because you never know. Yeah. And now a good friend of mine, and David Matthews, a fellow named Nate Ginsberg, was one of the top keyboardists in the San Francisco Bay Area. Played with Herbie, played with a bunch of other people, really good. And he and Dave Matthews were good friends. They were in the same league. He just died unexpectedly, 4 nights ago.
Wow.
And it's like, I'm just thinking of this guy and going, that poor guy. He's just like sitting there waiting for all this to clear up and for the next gig. And he doesn't get to do the next. There will be no next gig. So I'm being dramatic about it. But the thing is, play every gig like it's your last. Show the gratitude. Show your happiness for even being there. People want to see that. Approach the gigs in that way. Be totally prepared to have all your homework done, and that's what Al taught me, because I thought that I could just get by just by my musicality. But one of my stories was one of my stories was that first rehearsal, playing something, I think it was Eat It. It's basically A minor down to F, triads, right? Just straight triads down to F. I played the A minor, and then I just, in the voicing, when we went to F, I kept the A minor, which would then be the major seventh of F.
Yep.
I kept it in the voicing. They weren't used to that. The guys in the band go, oh, okay, cool, yeah, like that. Al, at the end of the song, Al goes, Rubén, I'm going, yes, waiting for him to say, that was very cool. He goes, bar 62, the and E of 3, was that an E4 in the middle of that voicing? And I'm like, you're kidding. He not only heard it, he knows what the note was and what beat it was on. And I go, why, yes, it was. And he goes, why? And I'm like, because it sounded cool. And he goes, it's not on the record. Don't play it again. That's how good Al is. Yeah. And so the thing is that I learned, what to do, what to be prepared for. Don't do too much, don't ask too many questions. I've got a friend, I know people who played with great artists and then they were gone. And then they were great players. And I'm going, what happened to what's his name? And go, he started opening his mouth too much. He started asking too many questions. There's just questions. There would be questions that I would want to ask that when I thought about it later, it was actually more of an ego thing where I go, you know what? I think I was actually trying to impress the boss by showing him that I knew what was going on completely. It's just, there's questions you don't need to ask. You just keep your mouth shut. So I'm trying to tell you the things that I think work in a professional situation that will help you keep it. Okay, well, that was the question.
Yeah, that certainly was.
Yeah, great insights. And I think that last self-insight about ego versus legitimate questions is a brilliant one in particular. That's really superb. Rubén, and just because I know you've played with so many people, but we also quite regularly ask, is there a bucket list of people you would still like to work with going forward that you haven't already?
I still want to work with, I still would like to be able to, I've played with Carlos. I see the end of the runway there. And it's like, I don't mean to be brash. I don't mean to be harsh, but the thing is that I'm very glad that my friend, I think I was told that Carlos actually told Dave Matthews, this is your gig for as long as you want it. So the thing is that with the professional level that they're at, the legendary status, the credibility, who would not want to keep that gig? So he's basically there. And I don't see him leaving. But I would have liked to play with that gig or on that gig. I would have liked to play with Tower, But you know what? When I think about it, then the thing is that I would be I've seen other organists, other keyboard players come in, and it's almost like Chester is held as the standard or the bar, right? And it's like, we want you to play. Oh, I'll tell you what. Here's a crazy story. You might have to edit this out. But just the way that Chester was being held up as the bar, Bruce Conte was asked back to Tower after years and years. And they actually made him audition. I said, wait a minute. It's Bruce. It's like John Bonham leaving Zeppelin or something. And then it's like, well, you want to come back? okay, well, you're going to have to audition, John. And it's like, Bonzo, what? Give me a break. So they asked Bruce to audition. And then when he played the solo to What Is Hip or something, they said, could you sound more like the original guy? It's like, that was me. What are you guys talking about? You know, so along those lines, it's like, I'm thinking that anybody going into Tower was really under the gun to, you know, have that thing hovering over him, where he had to measure up to Chester Thompson. You know, do you know what I'm saying? So in other words, I wouldn't have really been able to play like me. It's like I would have been having to try to play more like him. And the other thing is on Squib Cakes, you know, or whenever Chester, here is a thing that I heard from Bruce, because I asked him many questions, but he said that part of the agreement to come into the band, because Chester didn't really want to tour with Tower, but Bruce really wanted him to. He took Garibaldi down to see Chester at this thing, playing at a club, and they both approached him and said, would you please like it? And he goes, well, I don't want to tour anymore. Anyway, so once he did agree, he goes, yes, but under one stipulation. When I have a solo, I kick pedals. I don't know if you guys know that, right? I mean, Squid Cakes, What Is Hip, any of those tunes, Rocco drops out, and Chester plays pedals. Well, they started asking all the other keyboardists to do the same thing. And so it's like, yeah, I would like to play, or would have liked to play with Tower, but not under those, not under those conditions.
No.
So next question.
No, it's good. Again, great story. Rubén. So our next question is, we ask every guest, this is about train wrecks. Now, we usually ask a guest to provide one time on stage that things have gone really wrong for them, but I'm actually hoping you can provide two, because I've seen a previous one you've told about.
You've seen all my performances. Just look at my performances. They're all.
Yeah, I think you've been too
much.
Take
your pick.
No, but the one I want you to do two, but the first one I want you to talk about involves George the synth wrangling ghost from Philadelphia, if that rings a bell to you.
Oh, well, that's not a train wreck.
I mean, it's a ghost story, but I love it.
That was a little aside, but I found it interesting because I had appeared on the local creature features. You know, every place has their local like horror movie Saturday night show, right? So this was a local thing out of up here in Northern California, and so he said, you got any ghost stories or this and that? And I go, well, there's a weird thing that really did happen. And it would happen every time we played this place. And it was a little place out of right next to Philadelphia, a little suburb of Philadelphia. I forget what it was called, Glenside, whatever. And all I know is that do the show, and I suddenly look at the LCD, the display, and the program had changed from 100 to minus 4003 with all sorts of gibberish. And I'm going, what? You know, and I go, well, how? Okay, I can understand that the program got changed or something, but to minus 4003, because there's no minus. There was no minus input. There's on the keyboard, on the computer part of the keyboard, the typewriter part, there's no minus. There was no way that you could add that. I'm going, and it kept happening again and again every time we played there. And I go, this is weird. And so when we're in catering, and I recognize the people that are doing the catering, and they're there all the time, and I go, is this place haunted? And they said, oh yeah, his name is George. He lives up there. And there was a little door up there or something. And they go, no, he's a real thing. And they go, does he screw with like, oh yeah, he screws with with the keyboardists and this and that, and screws up their stuff. And I'm like going, I knew it. I knew it. So before the gig, before the show, I take a moment, I go, George, listen, I'm happy with you hanging out. I really did. I talked to him. I said, I'm happy with you hanging out and jamming with the band. But please do me a favor. Don't mess with the keyboards. You can even play a note or this or that, whatever you want, but don't mess with the programs, because then it really screws it up and it's not fun. It's not fun. And no problems after that.
There you go. Love it.
It's true. But I wouldn't call that a train wreck.
No, it's not. That's true.
A train wreck would be like when a sad train wreck was when Bermuda passed out on one of the last songs when we were doing Fat. You know the show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing Fat, and Bermuda just kind of like, he leaned over and passed out. and what did I do? I jumped back into action. I go to the drum program. I found a drum program and I start going and the song keeps going. There's stuff like that, or the time that Al came back from for the encore. It's like that. Good night. Lights go out. People going nuts. And then Al runs back. We would still be on the stage. He would run back, and the lights go up, and this and that. So all I know is that he runs back, and I feel something. And there's this giant explosion, a giant crash, and there's a note going, it wouldn't stop, and the lights come up. He had completely run into my entire keyboard setup and took it completely out. They're on the floor. Kurzweil's like in a million pieces, and it's just like, and it's just going, and you see the band, they're all hovering around. They're all like in a circle, going like, around all these millions of pieces of keyboards and stuff like that he had completely destroyed. And he was like Urkel afterwards. He's like, oh, did I do that? I'm sorry. No, I don't even think he said I'm sorry. He just like, did I do that? And he just walked away. So many times. Crazy stuff like that. Or when I'm starting the Saga Begins, and it's just like, a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, and suddenly the plug on my keyboard falls out of the socket. And I'm like, and it's just me and Al. And Al is such a pro. He doesn't do anything he doesn't go, oh, we need to start again. So sorry. He doesn't do that. He just keeps going. He just keeps going. So I'm here like, and the tour manager's going, you idiots, to the stage people. His keyboard came to go plug it in. Oh, okay. And they go over and replug it in. That's about the worst thing that's happened, Oh, besides, of course, it's so nice that they don't put the transpose button near the keys anymore, right? Because somehow I had to do an intro on something. I do the intro. Everybody comes in with their a cappella vocals, and they're, the muscle memory. It ain't happening. They're going, because I had hit the transpose button.
Oh.
And completely screwed up the show. That was in New York at the place in Harlem.
Apollo.
The Apollo. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep.
And we're all happy that we're doing and what happens, I hit the transpose, but I'm in a completely different key. They come in, they're like, and it's all that time we had to stop. That's the worst thing that's the worst thing about when it comes to train wrecks or anything, but if it's just a regular show we're not even thinking about the songs. As I've told you before, it's just muscle. It's like tying your shoe. You're not even thinking about it. You're going, I wonder what's for after show. I wonder if they're bringing us pizza. That's about, well, when you play all these shows, I mean, look, we're going to be on for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
We're doing 6 months straight. There's no breaks, So I'm going to be, and then we've got Emo Phillips on the bus with us. You know who Emo is?
The name rings a bell, Rubén, but tell us.
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He's the guy that talks like this. He goes, "Well, I was walking down the street one day, and the dog came over. I don't know." Does that ring a bell?
Yes,
it's that guy. I'm stuck on a bus for 6 months.
Rubén, does he talk like that all the time, or is that a stage persona?
No, it's him. He's actually darker when he gets on stage. He's like, "I don't know. Life is so terrible. I could kill myself. Maybe I will." It's like, when are you going to bed, Emo? And it's like, "Oh, I don't sleep very well, so I'm just going to stay up all night on the bus, every night, and just talk to you."
But yeah, 6 months is hard work, Rubén. I mean, most of our listeners probably don't realize you're only 28 years old, and look at you. That's what touring's done to you.
I know. That's my joke.
Oh, sorry.
It is. I've used that before. I'm only 23. Look what it's done. Look. I can't believe it. I still have my hair. So now you guys, are you gigging in? Are you gigging or what's going on over there?
It's fair to say it's on and off, and Paul is more the touring gigging musician than me, but it's on and off, Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very tricky for us, obviously, with what's been happening with COVID the last couple of years. So you think you can get a run in, and then you have to cancel shows because different state governments change their border rules and these sorts of things. So it's a challenge, but I'm sure that's the case. That's the case everywhere. I believe you're gearing up right now for a tour, though, so that's exciting.
Well, that's the thing. I actually started working on. So I started working. I went down to LA I'm living above San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I'm in a little town called Petaluma, and it's basically where George Lucas filmed American Graffiti. You remember American Graffiti?
Absolutely.
You remember the part where Richard Dreyfuss, he's trying to hang out with this gang, these guys, and they have him like put a chain on the police car's rear axle. You remember that part? And then they drive by and go, "Hey, you stupid cops!" And the cops go, "Oh yeah," and they come and they tear the whole thing up. That's like right down here. I live like right next door. I live here. And why did I bring that up? It's because
touring.
I'm getting ready to do the tour. And why did I bring up Petaluma? Oh, because I went down to LA to get my stuff, brought it back. So all the songs that I have to do, let's see if I can find the programs and everything. I found them. I tweaked them in the K8. And I said, let me do this now. So that was like September, getting ready to do the rehearsals in March.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to give myself enough time. So if anything weird happens, I'll have enough time. Got it all together. And then Kurzweil said, would you please do the 2700? So I said, okay. And then I went in and saw that all the stuff transferred very easily. And samples, this and that. It's very cool that I can load samples in a lot faster. It used to take 5 minutes to put 1 meg of a sample into the Kurzweil. I was like, come on. But anyway, so I tweaked all that and I've got it all ready. I'm going to start concentrating seriously on the show. I think about mid-February, where it's basically going to be all day and all night, just, running through the show over and over and over again. I really want to get it to the place. We're not doing 60 songs. We've got 30 songs this time. I understand what he wants to do, but at the same time, it would be just so cool to have 15 songs that, you just know them backwards and forwards. I'm not having to read anything. It's just there. And I believe that the band would sound so much tighter, but it's a challenge, So I'm just going to run through the show to get it, make sure that it's perfect. And then we're going to leave in late April. And as you guys were talking about the COVID, it's like, I was skeptical. It's like, well, I mean, look at the reality. It's like, we're on a bus, it's the band on a bus, right? Al lives on the bus. He believes that if I'm paying for the bus and I've got a stateroom in the back, why do I need to pay for a hotel room, right? So he stays on the bus. So he's living on the bus, going to the bathroom on the bus, using the bathroom on the bus. People come in, the band member, we're in a different place all the time. We're touching something, right? Yeah. We get back on the band bus, got to go to the bathroom, grab the handle to the door, go to the bathroom, come back. Al comes back, grabs the door handle. How long is that going to last before somebody brings something on the bus, So 6 months, it'll be crazy, but I've been skeptical. I don't know how long it's really going to last. What would you guys think?
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, the reality. Think of it. Right.
I mean, did you tend to on the bus anyway? Like even in normal times, whether it's gastroenteritis or flu or cold or whatever, like that stuff must go around in a bus environment.
Yeah, it does. And it's not like we're a bunch of 30-year-olds.
No.
We're all in our 60s.
Or at least you have a tour to look forward to, which is a really positive thing, and great for all the fans too. So that's exciting. And
I'm sorry. I was just being realistic with
well,
guys. To talking from the professional point. I can talk from the entertainment professional part about it and say, yes, I'm looking forward to this very much. I do actually like playing Al's original tunes more than I like playing the parodies.
Yes.
I mean, let's be perfectly serious as grown adults and professionals. It's like, do you really want to be having to study the latest song by Billie Eilish, or Cardi B? I don't listen to that stuff. What do you guys listen to?
No, I think
I know you listen to Russell Crowe because he's the greatest. He's the greatest musician to come out of Australia. I respect that.
Yeah, he's an amazing musician, and he's also a New Zealander. But your point is taken.
Oh, sorry.
No question.
New Zealand,
look,
Australia.
Your point's well made about the risk management side of it, and it is. And I know not that we're anywhere near the scale of you, but we've got COVID management plans up the wazoo, and we sort of went on our current thing, and we say, well, we just know we're not going to get all these shows away. We just know something's going to pull it up at some point. But it is still great to have the shows to look forward to, and I think that's you guys. Yeah, no,
and Rubén, you also make a good point about originals versus parodies, and I just want to throw in there that I think that's another under-recognized aspect of what you do with Weird Al and Weird Al does himself. And that's things like my favorite song of all of that is Albuquerque. It's an absolute piece of genius. Must be a nightmare to play, particularly for the drummer, for 11 minutes.
No, the guitarist.
The guitarist, yeah.
Because he's having to do this. And he said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And we're getting to the point where it's just like, well, I'm too old to do this. And the other thing is that, look, Al made his genre, his niche, whatever, doing the parody stuff. But as time has gone on, it's like the man is not 20 years old trying to impress his junior high school friends anymore with silly songs. He's actually doing stuff that has more, it's just, there's more adult in it. And I used to push him. I used to push him and say, dude, it doesn't have to be about gummy bears and spam. You can talk about adult things. And he's like, you would never tell him that, but then he heard it and started going that way. So that's why I do like playing the original stuff, because he is a good writer. There was some good stuff. He's allowed me not to keep it in the 1980s sound with all those stupid synths. Do you guys realize what kind of hell I had to go through to be able to recreate those songs from the 80s?
I can imagine.
The guitar is just guitar. Drums, you're just hitting stuff. Bass is boom, boom. But the keyboards, it had to be that special sound. And the reason Al is so great is because everything is done so right and so perfect. So I couldn't get away with just some sort of sound that kind of sounded like the original. It had to be exactly. And then I go, how did they make those sounds? And it's like, well, you could call up the guy who recorded it 40 years ago. And I did that. There was a person named Pat Regan. And I phoned him up and I said, blah, 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 whatever song. And he goes, oh, yeah, yeah. And I go, what keyboards did you use for that? He goes, I don't know. And what am I supposed to do? And don't forget that it's not just one keyboard. They had keyboards MIDI together, keyboards that are obsolete, that nobody makes anymore, the Korg Poly 600 or something or whatever. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then they made a special program on that, and then MIDI it to another keyboard that doesn't exist anymore. What kind of hell I've had to go through to, and everybody going, everybody coming in and say, all sound great. And then Al's going, Rubén, that's not quite right. You need to get that right. I'm like, how? What do I do? What I used to try to do is actually talk to Melodyne. Melodyne, right? And I was asking them, the people that go in and get rid of the noise on a recording, and that you can actually lasso, you can actually grab the noise, it shows up visually, right? And you can grab it, and then you can delete it out of the track. You know what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then I was asking him, is there a way that I could actually take that and just grab the specific sound of that keyboard track and grab that, take it out, and then sample that sound, and then put it into the keyboard and play it that way. These are the things that have been, that's where my brain is at when it comes to the Al stuff. It's not about improvisatory, it's not about linear music. It's about how can I make this sound? They said, that's a good idea. We can't get there yet. So
see what happens. Technology is always evolving, so one never knows where it'll go. But those 80s sounds, I think the other challenge too is the fact that those 80s songs were so keyboard heavy, you can't afford not to get the sounds right. That's the issue. They dominated it so much. Rubén, we have a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind. And the first one is a question we ask all our guests, and that is, who is a keyboard player that you think would be a great guest for this show? Who's someone that maybe you would love to see us interview to learn a bit more about them and their views?
Well, I'm sure you've talked to Jordan already.
No, not yet, but it's on the list. Yeah.
The only thing that I can say about all those other guys, they're all very, very talented, but I don't. You're not going to be able to edit them out as much as you're going to be editing me, because you obviously see that I have no problem with just going on and on and on. But I do try to make it entertaining, at least, or I am trying to provide knowledge.
I can tell you now, right now, Rubén, that there's going to be very little editing. This is going to be a long interview, and rightfully so.
Well, nobody's going to watch this now.
I'm thinking 2 episodes, Rubén, because honestly, and not being nice, it's been fascinating and it is entertaining, and you've got some cool stories, and we do like to learn from our guests. So yeah, don't worry about that. That's not a problem. But
I hope I haven't geeked you out. I haven't talked too much nerd geek talk, when it comes to the, I'm just trying to bring a little of it in, but just to show you the reality of the music, of the keyboard chair on this thing. Because like I said, what we're proud of is that we can sound like everybody else, but they can't sound like us. Yeah. Because it's like, we can sound like Aerosmith, and then we can sound like Howard Jones. But Howard Jones can't come in and sound like Aerosmith, and Aerosmith can't sound like Howard Jones, but we can. And so that's why, and part of it is the keyboard chair. So I've been, with the 80s sound, and that was very tough. But I've been very lucky in the past couple of years where it's mostly been about guitar, and then any synth stuff. Actually, who's really good? Jim Kimo West, because he did a lot of the programming for the Lady Gaga stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you a little story about Jim Kimo West and how good he is. When Ted Turner bought all the movies, all the old classic movies, what they did, for a period, they decided to take the movies, have a duplicate, of the movie, and wipe the sound and replace it and put it into a different language. I should have said just that they just wanted to, have it in a foreign language. But the thing is, the tracks back in those days, it was only one track of sound. So if you wiped out the dialogue, you wiped out the music. So they were looking for people that would recreate or add or bring in new music for these old movies, Casablanca, The Sun Also Rises, crap like that, Hemingway. So the thing is that people submitted their stuff. It was all nice and well, but you know what Jim did? He went in with his Ensoniq sampler. He recreated the exact part of the movie. I mean, the exact music, exactly. He recreated it to the note, to the sound, to everything. And they said, oh, well, we've got to use this because he's completely recreated it. He did it with an Ensoniq sampler. And that's why that was part of his training, to be able to get to the point where he is able to do all the Lady Gaga stuff and do all that. And then basically he'll show me the programs that he was using for, to get these sounds. Then I recreate them on my thing, and we go from there. But that's how good those guys are.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing technical and creative skill. No, great point. So if you had to pick then on one keyboard player, Rubén, that you would say, right, I want to hear this guy's story, this woman's story, younger, older player.
Are you talking about people that with electronics, or are you talking about
who you'd be
players?
Yeah, just who you'd be interested in hearing, and we quite often throw in dead or alive.
Well, aren't you going to have a little trouble having an interview with a dead guy?
There's nothing we can't do.
We'll bring a Ouija board. We'll be fine. No problem with them.
Careful with those things. Russell Crowe.
Right.
No. Wait. Had to go there. What's the name of his band? 30 Grunt or something?
30 odd foot of grunt.
That's
30
right.
odd foot of grunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, I'm scratching my head too. I don't know.
There's a young cat named Emmet Cohen that I've heard of, and that I've followed some of his stuff. It's like, I just don't know. I'd like to hear from some of these guys, but I don't know how interested or how good of an interview some of these people are. I think Chester Thompson is still great. I think Tom Coster, and these are part of some of the people that would be on the list of albums for my what was it, the Desert Island.
Yeah.
those things. Let's see.
I mean, I'm happy, Rubén, with Emmet Cohen and those suggestions. You've nailed it more than some guests do.
I mean, there's other people that I that are great, but I don't. I think there's so many interviews with them that they don't need any more. Like Yuzha Wang, right? You know who she is, and but she's man. No. I got to keep my mouth shut. But I guess I'll say I don't need to hear her talk about how she loves shopping for clothes anymore. I would like to hear more in-depth stuff. Let's see, who you surprised me with that one.
No, that's okay, but you've segued nicely to Desert Island Disc. Do you want to move on to that, because we do need to wrap soon? So, what are the 5 albums? I did give you a heads up on that one, but it is a challenge.
All right, I put some thought into it, and I thought about my favorite keyboardists. And so when I think of Chick, I guess I'd have to say Light as a Feather would be one. I think of something by Richter, the great the great Russian pianist. I'm thinking maybe Pictures at an Exhibition by Richter. I'm thinking of the entire Moscow performance by Horowitz when he went back. I'm thinking of maybe Led Zeppelin 1. Just for that genre, and and that it was the beginning of that genre, was done so well. I'm thinking of maybe Santana Abraxas, just for that, for and because of the meaning that has. I had another one. I was thinking a Tower, but Tower, like Tower number 3, Tower Power number 3, but I don't think there's enough strong songs on that to go there. But so I'm thinking of a little bit of everything. Oh, you know what? Okay. Can I go back to a person who you might want to talk to?
Oh, yeah.
Lovely young lady named Rachel Flowers.
Oh, yes.
Yes, would love to speak with her. Yeah, great.
I met up with her. I introduced myself to her and had her come to a concert, and I had her sitting with me at the NAMM show, and I showed Al. I said, "Hey, check this out." And she's like 14, and she's doing Tarkus, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and she's doing it. And then she actually. He came and visited her, and she had the modular Moog, and she played Tarkus, the complete thing, and on the Moog, and then of course she can play it on acoustic. And at the NAMM show, she said, "This is something you want me to play?" And I said, "Would you do me a favor? Would you play Tarkus?" And she goes, "How much of it?" Because she can do
the whole thing. As
you've heard, she can go 30 minutes, note for note. I showed Al that. He's going, "Oh my God, she's spot on. She's got everything down." And then, of course, you've seen her play with Dweezil and do the Zappa meets Zappa thing. And then after she finished with doing a bunch of the Zappa stuff, and of course, she could play the entire catalog of ELP. She could play not only the keyboards, she could play the bass. I'm not sure about the drums, but I'm sure she tried. But then I saw that she started going after all the Mahavishnu stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, she's insane. She'd be a great guest, actually.
Love that suggestion.
She'd be very fun. There's other keyboardists that I would think might be interesting, but I'll spare you guys from their ego.
We have a long, proud history on the show, and Paul and I quite often joke behind the scenes. We're yet to have a bastard on the show, so it sounds like we will.
Oh no, I can hook you up. Well, wait a minute. Isn't it me?
No, not at all.
No, of course not.
Aren't I the most obnoxious guest yet?
Not at all.
No way. We haven't had any obnoxious guests. Everyone's been great to talk to. Very generous with their time.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite so far?
Oh, it's like asking you to pick your favorite child.
It is a bit, and that's just not.
Give me your top. Give me your favorite three. Just favorite, just personal.
All right,
favorite.
so for me, it'd be Steve Porcaro. Probably Andrew Farris from In Excess, being the Aussie, and I'm not just being diplomatic, Rubén, but you'd be probably in the top 5 to 3 as well.
Oh, thanks,
Paul.
Thank you. And you,
what a question to ask. I really actually loved David K. Matthews because he was really, so much spoke from the heart, and he was very emotionally upfront, and that made for a really compelling interview. I thought he was great. I really enjoyed one of the ones I didn't get to do that I really enjoyed listening to that David did was with the young lady out of
Veronica Lewis.
Veronica Lewis, yeah, she was great. She was a great guest. She's a blues player, very young, and she was really good too. So they were probably two of my favourites. But no word of a lie, they've all been great fun.
Yeah,
they've all been great fun, Rubén. And now you've gone to the top. You're like number one.
Oh, just stop. Have you considered Marcia Ball? As I think she's a blues pianist out of Texas.
I'll look into that as well. These are all very valued suggestions.
Oh, you know who? Otmaro Ruiz.
Okay.
Otmaro Ruiz.
Okay.
He's an alien.
Nice.
That's the best way to describe it because he's that good.
Yeah.
I would not go see him because I would get depressed because he was so good. I just want to go, okay. Take me down. There's other old cats like Tom Coster and Chester, but I don't know if they'd be up for it.
That's the thing.
But you know me, I'm Mr. Gabby, so I'm here, and there's tons of stories. I was happy to tell you about the Al story with his parents, how professional he is. The cool little things like when they took us dog sledding and did stuff like that. Crazy stuff, stuff that I don't want to remember. Like when Al decided to do Like a Surgeon, the Madonna way with the cone bras.
Nice.
And he asked Jim Chemo West to wear the bra, and he did it a couple of times, and everybody felt sorry for him because he was just so he looked so terrible and so sad and pitiful. And so he goes, Al, I can't do this anymore. So Al goes, well, then who's going to do it, Rubén? And for a couple of years, I had to do the thing, and I made it into a crazy show that just stopped the show and was just like, it was too crazy. Those kind of things I don't want to remember. That's I have been humbled by Al.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. But look, I think whether the things you want to forget or remember, Rubén, what you've shown is it's been an amazing career with Al, but an amazing career much, much more broadly. And we can't thank you enough for taking the time. And 1, 2, or 4 episodes, it's all absolute gold. And we can't, again, thank you so much. If ever there was an interview like David K. Matthews that was worth being 2 parts, Paul, it was this.
Yeah, no question. And as you said at the end of the first interview that we did, David, it would have been a shame to cut it short. So Rubén was so generous with his thoughts and his ideas, and he really put some some time and energy into giving us what we wanted in terms of the questions we asked. So, can't thank him enough for that. And we really hope that all you listeners and viewers out there enjoyed it as much as we did.
Absolutely. So, really appreciate Ruben's time. It was absolutely wonderful. We'll definitely be back in a fortnight or so, but just a reminder that we love to hear from you, and you can keep in touch via a few means. So our website is www.keyboardchronicles.com. We're on Facebook at Keyboard Chronicles and on Twitter at the Keyboard CHR1. And if you like good old-fashioned email, then please do drop us a line at editor@keyboardchronicles.com. As we've mentioned a few times, if you'd like to become an official supporter, we do have a Patreon account where for the price of a coffee or an iPad app a month, you can help us go from strength to strength. And that's what's helped us move into the video sphere with the podcast. And we really appreciate the support of our Patreon supporters to date. So the link for that is patreon.com/Keyboard Chronicles. And again, Paul, huge thanks for joining me this episode. Couldn't do it without you, sir.
Well, you probably could, but thanks for being so kind and for inviting me. As always, what fun.
And most importantly, again, thanks to all of you out there for listening, and we'll see you back here next episode.